And welcome to Pulp Mythos. I'm Brian here with Larry and Spencer, and we are going to be talking about Dexter New Blood, episode number 5, Runaway. This is our third attempt at recording because Skype is being weird. But yeah, we're going to go right into this. So in the course of one single episode, Angela Bishop determined she got a little information on sort of how to look for links in different cases because of Batista, Angel
Was
Batista.
great.
That was great. Great little cameo. She also determined that she's dating a guy named Dexter Morgan. And finally, she learned that Kurt Caldwell is lying to her. Not only is he lying, he's clearly involved in some kind of conspiracy / cover up by having somebody use his son's credit card and create the illusion that he's around. She learned a lot in this episode, and I'm sure that next week's episode is going to be mostly dealing with all these revelations and how she deals with them, especially the Dexter one. Like I have no idea how she's going to approach that or what she's even going to think in terms of what that means.
I think it's going to be easy. Dexter could easily pretend like he has no recollection of it. He went missing because of a boat thing and a hurricane. It'd be super easy for him to just be like,
He's going to say amnesia.
Yeah.
It's been like 10 years. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know that she will believe it, but I think it's very easy for him to justify why he doesn't remember. I mean, clearly he does, but if he was just like, what are you talking about? And then see the picture and be like, oh my God. I think I think that'd be funny. It'd be Dexter funny because Dexter's clever, and I love the little contradictions between himself and the narration. But I think that would be beautifully played if he was just like, I don't remember.
Yeah, and I was thinking that too. But there's also a chance that he might do what Dexter often does and tell half the truth, because back in his hometown, his name is cleared. If I recall from the end of the series, he just was sick of it all and kind of figures that he hurts everybody he loves, and the easiest way was just to fake his death, and he's trying to create an easier life for Harrison and the woman he was dating at the time. So he could tell her a half truth, that, yeah, I'm Dexter Morgan, and all that shit, that messed up shit that happened, my sister dying, the whole thing with the serial killers and et cetera, just sort of weaving their way into my life. He's like, that happened. And, who wouldn't fake their death after all this, after getting all this heat, after being this star forensics guy and having it follow you around the way it did when I was Dexter Morgan. So that's why I changed my name. That's why I faked my death.
Yeah, I definitely could see that playing out that way, because we still have how many episodes? 5, 6, 7. We got like 3 or 4 more episodes. So you know what I mean? There has to be some level of him explaining it in a way where she doesn't, completely freak out because there's so many episodes left. So I think that's the route they're going to go. Now the other part of that was the Kurt Caldwell stuff. Like what is she going to do with that information? She clearly knows now that he's lying, that he is in terms of his been talking to Matt. Now, of course, we learned, I mean, we can go into that too. We've learned that he is, in fact, he's weird, man. He's got a lot. So he takes them and he locks them up. He definitely has a routine or a process that has to be followed. If it isn't followed, it upsets him, all the way down to going to listen to a specific song at the bar, to how the girls are supposed to exit, to how he's supposed to hunt them. I was hoping we would get more into the his whole weird embalming process. Maybe not. But yeah, in terms of Kurt and Angela being suspicious, where do you think that's going? I don't think she's suspicious that he's responsible for all these girls disappearing, but look how quickly she's able to put a lot of shit together. She may come to that conclusion in the near future.
I think when you look at not just Kurt, that whole sequence and the embalming and everything else, I do think that he keeps them as trophies. Like he
I'm
basically,
hoping.
it's to me, it's going to remind me of Sin City, where they have all the heads on the
Yeah.
wall and stuff. And I think that he is. I think he legit is keeping the bodies and kind of taxidermying them. But the whole like the ritualistic thing of the step by step, Dexter, I think, is going to figure that out real quick. But you talk about Angela Bassett. I know it's not Bassett.
Yeah. I thought you did. I was like,
But you have Angela who's figuring out something's not right. But like you said, I don't think that she's kind of tied it to him being responsible for those things yet. But she may feel like he's covering up for maybe Matt's the one doing these things. Matt's the reason they're disappearing. So I think that she's going to look into him more. But I really, really do hope, it's kind of a sick hope, but that they show him like his trophies on the wall.
it'd just be a great horror set piece for a final showdown or something.
Well,
Yes.
yeah. Well, it's just, and also that whole scene needs explaining too. It's like, what's happening? Why is that happening? It's got to be related to Kurt. Like, but on top of that, like speaking of comparisons, I made one episode 1, and I'm gonna make it again. This is very Twin Peaks because Kurt is very much in a big way. He feels like Leland Palmer, with the dancing and everything, and the kind of mania that he displayed this episode.
And
Yeah.
too, like the way he dances. It's
Spoilers to Twin Peaks. But yeah.
Oh well, yeah. If you ain't watching it by now, I'm sorry.
Watched it in 30 years or however long. Yeah, he played the hell out of that because you could tell, like when the girl wouldn't, she kept coming towards him, and then he ended up shooting her, but he wasn't able to shoot her in the back, and clearly that's a part of his weird, twisted thing, and that upset him, and the look on his face, it was almost childlike. It was very disturbing, but he played it well, where it broke him in terms of this process, and it messed up the experience for him.
Yeah, and I am curious to how much that's going to affect him being found out. Because by the end of this, he's not going to go scot-free. He's either going to be on Dexter's table, get arrested. Like there's something will happen, or maybe he'll kill Dexter, and then, then Harrison will kill him. Like I don't know what's going to happen, but this whole sequence, I think, is going to be his undoing. Him not being able to complete his process, him falling apart and becoming, like you said, very childlike and throwing a temper tantrum. It's very odd, but it is, I think, going to be the reason he gets caught. So I am interested to see who it is that catches him or what he does to get himself caught. Because that song, the Runaway song, it was so good because it talks about how the different characters are runaways. He tries to give them jobs, and the ones that don't take the jobs are the one he basically takes with him. So he was trying to. It seemed as though he was either going to take Harrison or try to give him a job, and he gave him a job. So I'm curious to see if Harrison doesn't fit his young female target, but it was very odd for that sequence to occur right after it happened with the other girl.
Yeah, and I think that's part of why he was so forceful about the idea of Harrison taking the job. He's like, you don't fit my profile, take the damn job, because he's so obsessed with patterns because of his whole mental illness and everything that, he was all but demanding that Harrison take the job. And I'm glad you mentioned that too, their interaction, because, this made me think. I was like, oh, you know what? Him and Kurt have been very buddy since the beginning, Harrison and Kurt. Dexter's whole worry about messing up his kid and keeping some level of distance because of that worry, now because of that, he's kind of who he is kind of being shaped by two worse serial killers, Kurt and Trinity and the Trinity killer.
Yeah, that's a great point. That every person in Harrison's life is a serial killer. Like every important figure that's sort of shaping him. There was a lot of questions about Harrison in this episode in terms of, we still there's so much we don't know. The show's been very good about keeping a lot of secrets in terms of what he knows, how he thinks, what he's done, the truth about where he's been for the last few years. But he had made the decision that he was going to run away because he was frustrated with his dad. And I was oh man, when Dexter was confronting him with the blade, I just kept saying, Dexter, tell him or you know what I mean, or bring up something, and he wouldn't. But Harrison, the other part of Angela Bishop learning what she learned was attached to the fact that Harrison confided in Audrey the truth about his dad in terms of his name. And this was after, he was high on, drugs and before he OD'd. But yeah, Harrison, I don't know. I don't quite have a beat on what exactly is going on with Harrison.
I think Spencer's right about him. With what you either said last episode or a couple episodes ago, that Harrison may not be a serial killer. He may just be a straight up sociopath, given a lot of his behavior, the way he's super defensive, and the way he kind of eats up a lot of that praise, and the way that he acts when he's confronted about things that he's doing. He just acts very much like he is a sociopath.
Yeah, when you look at what happened with him, and he didn't have Dexter's guidance, Harry guided Dexter. Now, I still do think that Harry had his own reasons, and the last season where it was the therapist who was basically doing kind of like experiments on all these kids, and Harrison didn't have that. Harrison didn't have that guidance. So when I look at what Harrison is, it seems to be more the unguided, unmedicated, untherapized sociopath, like somebody who is legit so narcissistic that he feeds off the attention, he feeds off of all this, and he gets excited because I think that as the season has progressed and Harrison's story has progressed, he is feeding off the attention. Like, it feels initially each time he gets it that he doesn't want it, but he reacts to it way differently than Dexter does. Dexter feels like he's faking, whereas Harrison feels like he's feeding off of it.
Yeah, pretty much. And those social interactions feel way more natural for him, and that very much fits sociopathic behavior, especially like you mentioned, that not only is he feeding off of it, but as we've said before, he's very charismatic too, and he seems to know how to play people.
And we know he's tested at genius levels. He's extremely intelligent, as well.
What if, and this is a big what if, Trinity's, what if he's one of Trinity's kids? What if he's not even Harrison? And his whole point is to come after Dexter because of his dad. Because we do know that John Lithgow is in this season. Do know that he does make a cameo because he's listed on the acting credits. They did just show a picture of him, but they wouldn't give him acting credits if he was just that picture of him. Because I was thinking about this before, because Harrison does seem to keep focusing on Trinity, which would make sense because of his mom, but there is, using the straight rate, there's a lot of things that make me feel like maybe he is one of Trinity's kids, and not Harrison Morgan.
Yeah,
That's an interesting theory.
Yeah,
I wouldn't count it out. I mean, it's a long shot, but
yeah. There's a couple things that kind of point me in that direction. It's still less likely than him being Harrison, but I think it'd be a cool twist.
Want to give
Well,
a shout? Oh, go ahead, Larry.
well, yeah, because it would be interesting in the sense that he would have been looking for Dexter for much different reasons than we initially thought. Though it is counterintuitive, I guess, to him leaving, because I imagine he would at least try to potentially kill Dexter before he leaves. Yeah.
I want to give a shout out to Logan, Officer Logan. This motherfucker was a step ahead of Dexter almost every scene. I was like, whoa. It's crazy how the cops in this town, like we didn't think much of them going in, and then all of a sudden they're like they got all these skills, but basically, he had orchestrated the way to take down this sort of drug operation, which was connected to the when Harrison OD'd. And Logan had a plan. He brought the low level guy in. He was going to interrogate him somewhat, well, not somewhat, but completely off the books. Get the information he needed, and then take down the main guy. Dexter is intending to kill everybody, and he couldn't do it. And then finally, we get to Jasper Hodge, in which Dexter was going to do his full routine. And I love the fact that he was equating sacrifice for your kids with not being able to stab a guy to death, but instead ODing him to death. But yeah, that was interesting. Logan was, on Dexter's trail. He's always typically a cop that's right on his ass, and he has Angela and Logan at this point.
Well, I thought it was funny too, because not only did he have kind of like a Dokes type character, Dexter's super rusty. He almost got caught once already, because with Matt, he had to basically set him on fire and stuff and retrace his tracks. And then this time you're like, you know what? Maybe he planned it out a little bit better, but even the whole setup for this, there's a lot of things tying back to him. And he also doesn't have the drop on stuff, because when he was a cop, whether it was his sister or whether he was getting called out to a scene, like he knew not only what the process was, he was part of the process, and now he's left way more in the dark. And Logan's almost caught him a couple times now.
Yeah, I like that too. And like you said, it's the kind of cop that typically gives Dexter the most trouble. He's very good at what he does, but he also seems like a genuinely good guy, with seemingly no skeletons in the closet. So, Dexter, he falls outside of Dexter's code by a wide margin. And yet I do feel like either he's going to catch Dexter, or he's going to, or there's going to come to head somehow. Either he's going to catch Dexter, or Dexter and him are going to fight somehow, because they keep mentioning him being the wrestling coach, and Dexter knows judo, and that fight is going to happen eventually. Probably not this season, but in the future, it's going to happen. But
I forgot about that. Yeah, Dexter. Yeah. I forgot. Yeah, he can fight.
Yeah, he's like got judo trophies from college or something. Dokes mentioned that in like season 2, I believe it was. But yeah, on top of that, like Spencer said, I do love that, because he's been so many years out of practice that they made him rusty, and it adds little touches like that add a lot to the show, I think.
Also, the revenge angle.
Yeah,
Deb was saying, "Look, you're doing this out of revenge. This is not normal, for you." And yeah, he's off his game,
Right.
Well, and I think it's funny too that we talk about how good Logan was and how far he planned ahead, but how easily the podcaster got over on him and just used him. It's
well, hey, she had a special set of tools, and
yes, yeah, one that he was very interested in.
Yeah.
But it was funny for him to be so on top of his game when it comes to his job. Basically, give her.
Oh yeah, I'm dating a flat earther now.
Yeah. I do love, again, like it still makes me think back to that scene where the chief is looking at him like, really, this is what disarmed you. This is like, you couldn't pick all this up this whole time while you were flirting, having dinner, and then doing the deed with this person that you were being played.
Polly Park, man. Yet again, she was in several scenes of this episode, working on her podcast, trying to figure out the situation with Matt, which she's probably going to, that's going to come out. She learned the truth along with Angela as far as Matt not being in that hotel.
Mm-hmm.
So that's interesting. I still think, yeah, she's going to be a thorn in their ass going forward.
Yeah, definitely. Like, and not only butting heads with the serial killers and potentially even Dexter and Harrison, but I wonder if she's going to cross the department too. Like, because I guess it depends. Like, in what format does she put up her podcast, and like, and how frequently does she post updates and things? Like, is she potentially going to, just for those views, compromise their investigation?
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, it was interesting seeing her. She yet again another character that's very smart and is figures out a lot of things and sort of has her finger on the pulse of most situations. Another I glossed over it really quick at the beginning, but Batista. It was
Yeah.
only in there were like 2 or 3 scenes, but it put a big old smile on my face. It was just like, yeah, same old, the flirting with Angela. I love that whole scene, and they're just being like, I'm with somebody, and he's like, okay. But even him reminiscing, or the fact that how his whole seminar was based around the idea of connecting cases that are similar but different, and it was very interesting. Him just basically giving a quick highlight of the Dexter series. I thought that was cool.
Right. Yeah. I don't know if this is the last time we're going to see Batista.
I hope not.
I feel like he's gonna come into like maybe Angela will want to know more now that she knows he's Dexter, and we'll see more of Batista.
I thought it was cool too for them to let us know he made captain.
Yeah.
Which, and Batista was always, as much as I didn't like LaGuerta because I felt like she was a snake in the grass, ladder climbing kind of person, because she went from season to season where I liked her, and then I felt like I understood her character, and then she would do something underhanded and shitty, and then I'd stop liking her again. But Batista, no matter what was going on, I always, either empathized or, enjoyed his parts in the show. So to have him come in this season has been pretty awesome.
It was definitely one of those moments where I mean, it's rare you get those happy endings in Dexter, but it is good to see Batista well off because, like you said, he was definitely one of those consistently good characters in the show.
Yeah.
You feel like you could hang out with Batista.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. That was basically the episode. We didn't really go into the party all that much. We talked about everything that was connected to it. It was, it was the kill list party. That was an interesting idea. They throw a big party for Harrison and only invite those who were on the kill list. But I didn't really have a whole lot to say about that. Anything else or something I missed?
No, just that. Like you said, that party was pretty messed up, though. The fact that they
Yeah.
had the kill list on the wall.
Well, I don't know. I thought it was kind of silly, but
I thought it was clever.
Yeah. But to me, for them to celebrate, making it through, and then the drugs of choice that they were doing, I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me.
Well, they're teenagers, so the whole
they're not
thing
the
makes
smartest.
sense.
No, but to make it through, not getting shot, and celebrating being on this list, and the person who was supposed to shoot them, not shooting them, and then to take drugs with fentanyl in it. I'm like, you got to be fucking kidding me.
Yeah, man. It's and the thing with the teenagers and how shitty they are, just it's another like peanut butter and chocolate situation for me with Dexter and Twin Peaks. I know I keep saying Twin Peaks, but it's this again because you're interested in all the small town stories, and and people do throw that around too much. I don't do it too often, but I am doing it for this show because I think it actually fits for this one for once.
Well, and I think you look at, we talk about the way it was this small town dynamic, and they have this party where they were trying to, I don't know, like celebrate being alive, but on the same note, like they apologized to Harrison. Those kids didn't go apologize to the person who was going to shoot them because they bullied him forever. They were like, yeah, we're kind of assholes. Hey, why don't you come hang out with us? I'm like, why the fuck didn't they go to apologize to the kid who was so mad that he was going to shoot people?
Right? Because I mean, God help you. Yeah, it's the sort of thing where they should have some remorse about the fact that they did that.
Yeah, their
And
remorse was towards Harrison, not towards the kid that was going to kill them because he's been bullied since he was like 5 years old.
Yeah. Small town, man.
yeah, and they're doing a good job of putting it. Nothing is unusual about this small town. Like we've all lived in small towns at one point or another, and and you've lived in one where people can be a little, shitty, I'm sure. Like, and nothing is abnormal about these teenagers.
No, and I've always said this is the feeling I have when it comes to apologies. It's one of two things. You either are apologizing because you are upset that you hurt the other person and you want them to feel better, or you're apologizing because you feel guilty and you want yourself to feel better. And those teenagers apologizing to Harrison, they feel guilty now, but they're not trying. They don't give a shit about the person they've been bullying forever. They're trying to apologize to make themselves feel better. And I'm like, God damn it. That didn't make me hate the show. It just made me hate those kids more.
Yeah, they've. I mean, that particular little crew that we spend the most time with that have had talking parts. I mean, that's not the brightest little group of guys. They just do a lot of dumb shit. Even the drug. I love that's another. When Logan shows up and he's just like, "Are you guys fucking insane?" Like, and they're just looking at him like, "Oh, I don't know." And they even give the line of when he calls Angela, and he's like, Audrey was the
voice of reason.
The voice, yeah, she was there to make sure no one died because she knew that there was a bunch of idiots and they were going to do dumb shit, and so she stayed sober and decided to just keep an eye on everybody, and that was the role she played. It's in my notes, but I didn't highlight it. But there's a scene that happened and we got no fucking continuation or explanation or discussion, or it didn't come up at all. And that's when Harrison cut the girl's leg.
I was going to mention that.
This is what I assumed was happening in the scene. I assumed he came up, she was trying to get him to do something he wasn't understanding, and in turn he cut her. He thought she wanted him to carve his name or whatever under her leg, or initials or whatever, but that's not what she wanted. But my question was, did that even happen? Or why would he immediately go to drawing blood or carving something into somebody? To me, that was a scene that was screaming, red flag on Harrison. Yeah, there is something going on with the guy, because when he got high, what did he do? That happened either in his mind or really, and then he exposed he got pissed and exposed Dexter to Audrey. But yeah, any thoughts on that particular scene? I kept waiting for a follow-up, where she was like, oh yeah, so and so's okay, you cut her when you were high, but we never got it.
Well, it was one of those things where to me, the way it happened, he could easily not just play that I was high, I didn't mean to cut you that deep. One, he could play it up like he doesn't really know how to handle a knife, which could play into him having an alibi. Two, it would also give him an alibi as far as the other kid who he stabbed in the leg and he almost bled out. He'd be like, look, I can't control a knife. It was really an accident. So he may try and spin the story into, even if he did cut the shit out of her, where he didn't really know what he was doing and covered up pretty well because he seems to be a pretty good bullshitter. So I wouldn't doubt that he'd be able to turn this. But like you said, I'm not sure 100% whether it was fully real or not.
Yeah, because no one freaked. I mean, she freaked out, but in other words, he just started then wandering off, and everybody was like, "All right." So that's why I was like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, that's what confused me. I'm like, okay, did she actually want that, and was she just shocked at the pain of being cut, or
She's like, slice my ankle.
Yeah, it's weird that she would want that, but again,
But
they're
they may have
shitty
all been on
teenagers.
drugs. Yeah, they were all doing shit too.
They're all high and they're shitty teenagers, and I want some explanation, even if it's just a dude talking to Harrison, like, "Hey man, you all right? I heard about what happened at the end of that party. Yeah, you might not want to do drugs. You kind of missed that cake by a lot. You cut somebody, man."
Because we all know that high schoolers bake cakes at parties,
right?
Which apparently is a thing.
Yeah, they bake cakes and crush up nuts and yeah.
Apparently
Here all kinds of foods.
they bake gourmet, multi-layered cakes.
Yeah, I was like, one of them is trying to do like a home ec project or something.
But yeah.
Don't act like you don't remember all those parties where we bake cakes.
We bake cakes. That's what high schoolers do. They bake cakes and then crush up like 4 giant bags of walnuts on the counter and then put them on the cake.
Yeah, duh. I mean,
oh god.
I mean, I can take 15 more minutes to shit on Hereditary.
You do.
I mean, have you never been to a party where you get Jordan almonds and gave them just enough to where they create shapes of daffodils and I don't know. Just trying to think of something fancy.
Daffodils. I want daffodils on a cake.
I do now.
Anything else?
No.
All right. Episode 5, going into episode 6. The real quick before episode 6 title is, because I was working on the thumbnail earlier. Where is it? God damn it. Oh yeah, too many tuna sandwiches. That's what next week's episode is called.
I saw that.
Like,
but right. Remember, that had something to do with the billionaire guy.
Well, I recall like he was in there getting a sandwich and Dexter just wanted to get his, but
that's true.
But yeah,
so
maybe there's
by them referencing that, I'm thinking that they're gonna give us his story, whether or not he's tied into this whole 3-ring circus of
the oil guy. Yeah, because they've spent so much time focusing on him early in the season, and he sort of disappeared. And now we know, okay, Kurt's the one, doing all the crazy shit. Doesn't mean oil guy doesn't know about it.
Or that isn't involved in some way.
Yeah, so maybe we'll get more on him.
Or maybe it'll be about Dexter losing it because it breaks his routine. Like they give him like 6 tuna sandwiches in his bag, and he's like, I can't eat all these. It's like, you're supposed to give me 1 damn tuna sandwich. I get 1 sandwich every day, every Thursday. It's just straw that breaks the camel's back scenario. Like everything's going wrong in his day, and he gets just this mountain of tuna sandwiches.
That's what breaks him. Then him and Logan have an epic wrestling match. Logan throws Dexter out a window, and that's how Dexter dies.
Okay, now it's really his Luke.
And then as he's like falling to death, just get a scene like Dokes.
I hope all that happens. I hope all that happens.
Yeah, Doke's spirit flipping and like, fuck you.
He envisions Logan as Dokes as he's kicking his ass.
That's what I'm saying. Like, and as he's falling to his death, you just hear
I hope all that happens so you feel like an asshole next week.
Yeah. Okay. Well, all right. That's how they ended it.
Well, I'd hate to be wrong. I'd hate to be right for once.
Yeah.
I would truly hate to be right.
Well, that's
that'd be
it. We'll be back next week with another review. Check out our Big Sky review coming up later in the week. 2 more episodes till the winter break. And then, of course, we are doing Wheel of Time. Check those reviews out. We appreciate everyone listening, and we'll see y'all next time.
Bye.
Bye.